Welcome to Brain Power Unlocked. This is Dr. Kevin Mays. And first off, I want to say thank you. Thanks for subscribing and watching our previous series, The Executive Ascent, where we talked about the core concepts you need to move forward as an executive. Now, in Brain Power Unlocked, we're going to look at the three types of brains hidden in that skull of yours. Most people don't realize, but we don't have a brain. We actually have three brains in one. That's right. We have the genius brain, the robot brain, and the caveman brain. Each one of these brains drives a different way of thinking and produces a different level of result in our life. Understanding which brain is in charge at any given time is essential if you want to lead yourself first. That is, lead life on your terms. It's essential to understand which brain is in charge. When you become familiar with what these brains look like, you see them in other people. And when you see them in other people, you're in a position to help them get better. That is true leadership. The three brains, the genius, the caveman, and the robot, tie into three different systems within our larger brain. The caveman brain is the limbic system. The limbic system houses all of our emotional reactivity, and it's connected to our brainstem. It's the most ancient part of who we are. When the caveman brain is in charge, our logical mind is not available. We fall into a fight or flight mode. We run towards, run away, or freeze. But we don't have access to our higher level executive functions when the caveman is in charge. The caveman comes out whenever we're triggered, whenever our core concepts or self-identity gets challenged by a perception we have in the world. Our brain changes how it's functioning. In those moments, the limbic system takes over. In those moments, the caveman comes out. Now, the caveman doesn't necessarily come out swinging. Sometimes it's pretty subtle. Sometimes it's that frustration we feel, the irritation. It's the sharp comment. It's the road rage when we tailgate or when we shut down in a meeting when we're frustrated and we have something to say, but we've taken our marbles and gone home. That's when caveman is in charge. When caveman is in charge, we are not our best. Instead, we're reactive. We're reacting to the perceptions of the situation. When others have caveman in charge, it becomes a lot more apparent. You can notice when people begin to behave differently than their best, right? When they become sarcastic, condescending, or passive aggressive, recognizing when caveman brain is in charge is a key first step. So first we have caveman brain. Secondarily, we have the robot brain. When the robot brain is in charge, we're on autopilot, doing what we've always done without really paying attention to it. Think about when you learned to drive. It took a lot of your energy to learn, but once you mastered driving, you can drive without thinking about it. You simply get on the road and start driving. How many times has it happened that you've gone 20 miles without wondering how in the heck you've gone the last 20 miles? That's robot brain. Robot brain happens whenever you fall into a pattern and you do the same thing with such unconscious competence that you don't even think about it. You might not even be aware that you're doing it. That's robot brain. It's essential to recognize when you're in that kind of autopilot mode, because when you're there, you're not utilizing executive function. So there's two different brains within us that will keep us from achieving our best potential. The caveman brain, when we're reactive, and the robot brain, when we're just ingrained in a pattern. The patterns in our robot brain, we got legitimately. It's really our software that's driving how we think, how we move through the world, and the results we get. When you came into the world, you didn't have any software, any programming. Through your experiences, you formed it. Over the course of days, months, and years, you deepened that ingrained skill set. You formed survival patterns that allowed you to survive those survival patterns. became ingrained in the neural fabric of your brain, your neocortex. And today they will drive you if you're not paying attention. So while it worked for you extremely well early on, you know the old saying, what got you here won't get you there. This is the case with the robot brain. It's essential to interrupt those patterns and behave with intention. Finally, we have the genius brain. It's connected with your executive function, your prefrontal cortex. When the executive brain is in charge, you have the ability to think at the highest level. You think with clarity, with consistency, and you're able to solve problems with creativity in a non-reactive way, in a way that really allows you to embody free thinking. When you're in robot brain, you're stuck in a pattern. There is no free will. In robot brain, keeping caveman at bay allows you to access that genius within. The genius within allows you to make decisions that aren't driven by reactive patterns. They aren't driven by your emotion, but instead they're truly driven by choice. And in fact, sometimes when you're operating from a place of genius brain, you'll have to make decisions that don't feel comfortable. The comfortable decisions are the familiar ones. And that's your robot brain. When you interrupt that pattern and step outside of those ingrained patterns, you'll feel a sense of discomfort. You might feel guilty. You might feel fear. You might feel shame. Any of a number of emotions will drive you back into that robot brain if you're not paying attention. However, when you pay attention and suspend the pattern, and allow yourself to access the full potential of your thinking capacity, the world opens up. When you're in genius brain, you're making decisions that allow you to become the person you are meant to become. When you're in robot brain, you're operating in a way that you learn to early on. It's survival mechanisms at play. Here we are 30, 40, 50 years later, still playing out the same patterns. Suspend the pattern and fill that void with choice. Each one of these brains has a deep impact on the choices you make. When you make a choice from the perspective of robot brain, you will find a logic that will keep you doing the same thing you've always done. You'll know that your logic is correct. There's 7 billion perspectives on planet Earth. Your perspective is not the perspective. If you don't loosen the grip of those ingrained patterns, you will continue to get what you've always got. I worked with somebody recently who felt like they were a victim. They felt like the world was out to get them. They didn't get the promotion they wanted. They couldn't get the raise they wanted. And somehow everybody else was the issue. When they really looked at it, there was a deep realization that there was a set of patterns playing out within their cognitive framework. When you change those patterns, you change everything. With your thoughts, you create the world. And recognize, when you're in robot brain, you will keep thinking the same thing. Because your beliefs drive your behaviors, you'll keep behaving the same way. And because your behaviors get the results in your world, you'll keep getting the same result. You won't elevate others. You won't improve the capacity of your organization, and you won't live life on your terms. That's how profound your choices are inhibited when you're in robot brain. Similarly, when you're in caveman brain, your choices are profoundly inhibited. You'll make reactive choices that don't align with what you really want. They won't allow you to show up as the person that's possible. Instead, you'll be angry, frustrated, irritated, and you'll come off in a way that is not the best version of yourself. The amazing thing is, what I've noticed through years of helping clients and through my own growth, is that it's really hard to see our own cognitive framework. We don't see our state of mind. Instead, we see the world reacting to us. And when you're in caveman brain, you'll see people who will back away, who won't follow through, who will say one thing and do another. The reality is, it may be less about them and more about you. When you're in caveman brain, you'll see people who are frustrated, irritated, shut down. And that's not about them. That's about you. That's about your caveman brain. When you suspend caveman brain, you open the door for choice. When you suspend that robot sensibility that's driving how you show up, you put yourself in a position to exponentially expand the results you get in your life. When you make decisions truly aligned with your vision, not only of your leadership, but of who you want to be on this journey, when you make decisions that are aligned with that and access that highest level of thinking through your genius brain, you set yourself up to make a profound and powerful impact in this life. To stop being a victim, to stop being stuck or plateaued, and to truly hit a new level of potential. It's all possible if you learn how to access your genius brain. I'm super excited about all of these ideas, as it's really a core element in my new book, Lead Yourself First, the High Achiever's Guide to Upgrading before you can lead anyone else, before you can help others get better, before you can grow your business or create a high performance team. There's one thing you must do. You must lead yourself first. My work on earth is to help you lead yourself first. Pay attention to which brain is in charge at any given moment within yourself. Pay attention to when you're irritated, when you're frustrated, and when you know the source of your irritation and frustration is the knucklehead standing next to you. Guess what? It's not the person standing next to you. It's you. You're the one in caveman brain. Pay attention to the nature of your thoughts. Be vigilant. If your thoughts are irritated, if your thoughts are angry, if your thoughts are frustrated, then you are the source of frustration. Your job is to pay attention. What happens when we do the same thing we've always done, but don't get the result we want? Then we get frustrated, then we think the outside world's the problem. But 100% of the time, the outside world is not the problem. We are the problem. The outside world is just the objective reality around us. It's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's based on the value judgment we project onto it. We give it meaning. There is no meaning in our perception. We give our perceptions meaning, react to those perceptions, and then think the outside world has power. It does not. You have the power. Take the power back, be empowered, access your genius brain, and be the best version of yourself. Lead yourself first. This is Dr. Kevin. Super excited to have you joining us here. Thanks again for subscribing. And here's to you, unlocking your brain power.